name is Grace Hayek, and I welcome you to our program Dive into Databases. This program is being recorded and will be put on the library's YouTube channel in a day or two, and everyone who registered will get a link for it, and you're welcome to forward it to anyone you might think it would be of interest to. The presenter has prepared a very thorough and helpful handout. If you are watching this after the day of the program, you can pick one up from the reference desk at any time. For a little background on our presenter, Rachel Murray. Rachel Murray joined the GPL staff just over a year ago. She works in the Adult Services Department doing readers advisory and reference. And she joined GPL after many years of working at libraries in Arlington Heights and Gurnee. And Rachel, I will let you take it from here.
Well, thank you everybody for being here today. We are going to have an opportunity today to go through the databases that the Glencoe Public Library subscribes to. So each of these items and databases and services that we're going to talk about today are freely available with your Glencoe library card. There are a handful of them that can only be accessed here in the building, but for the most part, most of them can be accessed from any place that has an internet connection. You would just need to make sure that you have your library card with you. Now, if you are from another library, and every so often we get somebody who wants to stop by and is from another library, you can use any of these databases in the building, but for at-home access, you would have to go through your own library. The way that they price these databases and sell them to libraries, they do require that somebody have a card from that library. They price them based on how many card holders there are within a specific area, the amount of the population, and so on. So we're going to take a look at our handout today. Got mine right here. This is an alphabetical list of everything that the library subscribes to. And we're going to be looking at 68 different databases today. That's how many databases the library subscribes to. Now, this program is taking place on September 23rd. If you join us on another date from the recording, I'm sorry. If you'll be joining us from another date, that's fine. We do always add different databases at different times, so you might see some new ones pop up in there. So before we get started, I just want to give you a little bit of information about what a database is. A database is a collection of information. Now, that can be anything from records, documents, media, images, recordings. It's a collection of information that is put together in one spot so that it's searchable. Each of the different databases that we'll be looking at today are put together by a different company. What happens most of the time is the database company contracts with a particular publication or group of publications, or even a publication group. They catalog and get all that information together for you, and they provide it then for access through libraries. We subscribe to it, and you're able to use it then. So when we think about a database is usually something you're not going to freely find on the regular internet. Now, there's a word that we use for that, and that's the dark internet. It's something that if you just go and Google it, you're not going to find it. Now, sometimes the dark internet gets a bad rap because it also refers to things like illegal sales on the internet and so on. But when we say dark internet, it means it's not something you can readily get to with standard search sources. So each of the databases we're going to talk about today contain information that is not freely available on the internet. You have to go to a database to get most of it. Some of it will include information you can get from the internet, but it won't be put together and presented and searchable the same way. All right, we're going to go ahead and go down to our alphabetical list of databases here. I do want to show you, I'm going to go a little bit out of order for a second. On your handout, should be on page, we'll be looking at page, it's in the J's, there we go. It should be on the page that starts with History Reference Center, but we're going to show you something called the Journal and Database Index. It's right here. This is something brand new. We just got this. It was just added to our page. What the Journal and Database Index does is it lets us search all of the 68 databases that the library subscribes to find where a particular publication is stored. Now, there's a lot of overlap between some of the databases we subscribe to. Sometimes you'll be able to find this newspaper in 3 different databases. This journal and database index makes it really easy to go and find what you want. So if we go into our journal and database index, we can search by title of the publication. We can search by topic of the publication. We can also go through and look at different collections of different journals. And we can also look for things via Google Scholar. Google Scholar stores academic papers that are freely available on the internet, but it gives you one quick place to go look for it.
Does that include theses and dissertations?
No, it's only what is in the databases. So this is searching just what's in our databases. So yes, if there's a paper that has been added to a database, then yes, you would find it in here. Now, this is mostly for looking for the subject of a journal or periodical, or it's going to look for the title. Think of this as being kind of like the Reader's Guide to Periodical Literature. If you are older like me, you probably remember using that at some point. It was a print guide that you had to go look up different topics in, and it would tell you where you could find that. This works the same way. So we're going to go ahead and search for The Economist. We're going to see where we could get a hold of The Economist in all of our databases. Okay, so what we're going to find is there are publications of The Economist in different countries. This one happens to be in Amsterdam. There are other similar publications, The Economist Book of Obituaries. There's The Economist Economics, Economist Group Limited, and this is the one we're actually looking for. The Economist that most of us are familiar with comes out of London. So this is telling us, this is the topics that it covers, and it's telling us what the ISSN is. You don't need to know that unless you're trying to get a hold of the journal itself from someplace. It's just the specific code that's assigned to a journal. What we can do, though, is click on Go. And this lets us see, this is what we have for The Economist, and we have 2 databases that allow you to search The Economist. We have Gale Popular Magazines and Access World News. Now you can see that Gale Popular Magazines covers it from 1988 on. Access World News has it from 1998 on. So they have a different contract with this particular periodical through these databases, so you can search for different time frames. So if you needed an article that was published in 1989, you're going to want to go to Gale Popular Magazines. If you had something that was published in 1995, you would still want to go to Gale Popular Magazines. Anything from the 2000s, you could use either. And to go to that actual database, we would click Go. And here we are. It's going to allow us to search all of Access World News. We can actually see the individual publications we can search, but we can also go in and search the entire database from here. I'm going to close this. So that is the Journal and Databases Index. It's really great to be able to find the specific publication you're looking for. We will frequently have patrons call in and they're looking for a journal article from a specific journal and they're not necessarily sure what the title is, but we can look it up by subject. This is a fantastic tool for that. If you're looking for something about Portuguese studies, you can go in and type in Portuguese and it will give you all of the journals that cover that. All right, we're going to go back to our handout and start from the beginning. So again, each of the databases that are on here are freely available to you at home. There are 2 that you cannot access from home. One of them is Ancestry.com. Ancestry right here is, it's a genealogy database. You might have heard of it before. This one, they will not allow us to have it for home access. They only sell it for in-library use. Wow. So this, they want you to buy a home subscription to it. They're still a company that's trying to make a profit at the end of the day. So I would like it if they sold that. If they did, we would get it. But it's unfortunately only priced for that. The other one is JSTOR. JSTOR, I'm not going to scroll down, but it's in your handout. JSTOR is an academic database, and it has tons of things like published papers, journal articles, studies. That is where you're going to be finding a lot of those really academic journal articles. That is in JSTOR. That can only be used here in the building. However, if you're at home and you're looking for something and it happens to be during the hours that the library is open, call us. We can look for it for you and email it to you. Because we have access to it here in the building and it's very easy to just download it and send it to you. You can also email us if it's after hours, and we would send it to you when we got here in the morning. Alrighty, so back to our list. We have Academic Search Complete is the first one here. This is a multidisciplinary research tool. It's full of scholarly research. When you go in and search it, you're going to be able to find a wide range of topics on everything from sciences to social sciences to medical studies. It is all peer reviewed. And you'll be able to find a lot of information in this one that you're not going to find freely on the internet. So it's going to be a really kind of a closed system of papers. And it's really useful if you're looking for research materials on a particular topic. Next, we have Access World News. Now, this is one we just saw a minute ago when we were using the Journal and Database Index. Access World News is more current interest topics. So that's going to be more popular magazines, so things like Newsweek, Foreign Affairs, Smithsonian, Popular Science. If you search this database, it will give you full text access to all of those different periodicals. Now, it doesn't have it going back to the beginning of time, and different titles might have different ranges of dates that you can search, but it absolutely has it so that you're able to go through and look through all of those different titles. Next, we have, again, Ancestry. If you're using this within the building, I'll just show you what it looks like real quick. This is a very popular one. People love Ancestry because it lets you go in and look for information on different ancestors, different people in your family. It even lets you do research on different people in your community even. So if you wanted to find historical information about early settlers, you could do that from here. I helped somebody yesterday do a search for a cemetery that was actually listed as being in Glencoe. Technically now it's in Highland Park. Grace was actually helping me with this, giving me some ideas. But going through records in Ancestry, we were able to locate where that cemetery is. It's a very small one, and she was able to go over there and find the grave she was looking for. Alrighty, now we have A to Z databases. A to Z databases is a collection of personal and business data. Now think of this as being like the phone book, but on steroids. This has personal listings like home phone numbers. It has business listings. It even allows you to search for open jobs. It allows you to look for and find background information on a variety of companies. So if we were to look for a business or an executive, we could come to A to Z databases and type in Andy Kim. Andy is our director here at the library. And we're able to search. Well, we have a different Andy Kim. I think if we went back and put that it's probably Andrew Kim, is what I'm thinking. So let's revise our search. Yeah, I'd say Andrew would probably find it. He's probably not listed in there as Andy. You can search for it though because he's our director.
Oh.
All right, so we can see now we've got all these different listings here. We can go back and actually limit our search. We can go back and see if we want to sort it by location or address. We can sort by phone number or revenue. We can go actually through and let's add Glencoe to that. Oh, didn't find Andrew. Well, let's try a different one then. We're going to try Baxter Healthcare. B-A-X-T-E-R, and then healthcare, all one word. And we'll delete Glencoe. Okay, so this is a major international corporation. So when we go in and we search for this corporation, we can see at the top, we have these first listings here that kind of all look the same. We've got Baxter Healthcare Corp. It's telling us who the executive is. It's giving us the address, what city and state they're headquartered in, phone numbers, and their annual revenue. Now you're also going to notice that over here we get this little tree. This is a corporate family tree, and if we click there, it's going to show us different businesses that fall under that particular business, and we can continue kind of drilling down between each of these different corporations. We can keep clicking on them and going down, and it will show us all their subsidiaries and affiliates. So if you're looking for information on any of these companies, you would be able to go in. This is the company information, and it's going to give us some quick links to things like an overview, their demographic profile. We can even see things like what their corporate listings are. There's going to be different reports that we can get from here. There's going to be their internet presence that will show you all of their social media plus their websites. And it's going to show you their physical address, who you can get in contact with here. So if you needed to call them, it's going to allow you to actually give them a phone call. That's going to be the most direct number to get a hold of somebody at Baxter. We also can see their demographic profile here. It's letting us know what their annual revenue is. It's a public company. There's the ticker symbol. We can see what their credit rating is. They have an excellent credit rating. And we can see if they have job postings, what their industry profile is. So this is going to be like their NAICS codes and their SIC codes. And it'll also give us other important contact information. Down here at the bottom, we can see who their area competitors are. So if you were looking for information on a business, if you wanted to consider investing in them, or you wanted information before getting a job there, you could come here and get a lot of detailed background information on a company. And it will even give you what their historical data trends are, how they've been doing over the last several years. Looks like they've been improving. And down here at the bottom, we have their executive directory. So if you are looking for who their HR executive is, you'd be able to come here and look for that. So that's how you would look for a company. Let's go ahead and we're going to go back. Just going to hit back a couple times here. And we're going to look for a person this time. So instead of searching there, we are going to go in and look for an individual. So type in my name, Rachel, R-A-C-H-E-L, and then, oh, yep, and then Murray. And then type Chicago. It's a surprisingly common name in the city of Chicago, so it's not something that I would have thought, but we're going to go ahead and search. And you'll see that it brings up 9 different people that have the same name. So it's giving a residential report. It's showing other people like Kelly Murray. I have no idea who that is. Actually, I don't know who most of these people are. None of those are me. So it lets you look up an individual address. Now, I have an unlisted phone number. If you have an unlisted phone number, you're not going to show up in here. Unlisted is unlisted. So what you are able to see, though, it depends. You can have your cell number through your provider. You can have it like set as unlisted. Most of the time, cell numbers don't pop up the same way landlines do. You can look for them if they're associated with some other type of an entry, like if you purchase something from a particular company and they sold their customer list, that happens all the time, then they might be able to find your cell phone number, especially if you entered it in there. It's not a great practice. I know most of us really hate that companies do that they sell their information. But yes, you could absolutely find a cell phone number here, but it's less likely. You're going to probably find more landlines here. So just like the old phone directories, this is very similar to that. But what the old phone directories didn't do is, here, we'll look at this person, is they're going to give you an overview of the person, where they live, their age. It's going to tell you their estimated income based on where they live. It will also tell you who their neighbors are. I've always thought that that was kind of a strange thing that they're showing you who their neighbors are, because that is kind of a, feels a little invasive, but that's strictly geographical. It's showing you by geography where each of those individual people are living and also giving you their phone number. Excuse me one second. Okay. So when we're looking at all this information, we can go through and you'll see if I wanted to find out who lives next door to her, I could click here and it's giving me that person's information. So you can see how you can get quite a bit of information here from each of these different entries. It's going to allow you to do things like set up a mailing list if you wanted to send out some kind of targeted advertising to a neighborhood. Let's say you were starting a lawn care company and you wanted to target the neighborhood around you and you wanted to be able to send a mailer to each of those people in that neighborhood. You could utilize this database for something like that. All right, so let's go ahead and back out of A to Z databases. And the next one I want to talk to you about is going to be Chicago Tribune. Now, we have access to the Chicago Tribune in a few different ways. We actually have access through something called the Chicago News Collection. This is going to include Glencoe News from 1995 to the present. So that's our local paper here. You can go in and search the entire full text there. This includes all Chicago newspapers except the Chicago Tribune. So it's going to be the Chicago Sun-Times, the Daily Herald, all of those, but not the Tribune. The Tribune we have to buy as a separate product. So we just recently were able to subscribe to the Chicago Tribune digital edition. This is what you would get if you subscribe to the Tribune at home and wanted to view it on the internet. It would be the exact same product. So if we click on this, you're going to see this message right here. You do not have to sign in with an account. You can just click this, no thanks. I want to access it anonymously, and you get 24-hour access. If you do want to create a free account, you'll get 3 days of access. So it's up to you, but you can come here every day and click this link and get that day's paper.
So this is how you get it.
Exactly.
Well,
You would go through the library's website. So you'd have to go to our website. You're going to go to this list that we're looking at right here. You're going to click chicagotribune.com or the Chicago Tribune Digital Edition. That's not what we're supposed to see. Hang on. We'll try that again. Here, we'll click on this one. It worked this morning. We tried it earlier. Okay, ta-da, now we're in it. So when you enter this from home, you're going to click on it. It takes you to the paper. So, but you have to access it through the library's website. If you just go straight to chicagotribune.com, you're not going to be able to do it. So from here, you can actually see the entire content of the paper. You're able to search. You're able to go like from up here. You'd be able to go through and search it. You're able to see all of the headlines. And when you click on anything, it's going to bring up the actual article and any graphics that were included with it. This will also include online-only articles. The Tribune now does their print edition, and then as the day goes on, they add additional articles to that day's edition. You will find those here. You're obviously not going to get them in the regular print copy because they already printed that. But you are getting all of the different sections of the paper. You can go in and see like the business section, the political section, the sports section. You could even still get the obituaries. So this is free. Again, you're going to get to this. You're going to go to our list of databases here, and you're going to go to the Chicago Tribune. And you can either use the digital edition or tribune.com. I'm going to try the digital edition link again because it looks just a tiny bit different. Come on, looks like it's working. Ta-da! Okay, it worked that time. So when you go into the actual digital edition, it shows you the cover of each paper. Oh, come on. This is not our fault. This is the Tribune is having some issues with their database. They might be having some traffic issues. This normally doesn't happen, but it's happening for us now. So let's try one more time. Hopefully third time's a charm. Okay, so we can see all of the previous papers here too. To go in and read it, we're just going to click on the cover. And it brings up the paper in its e-edition. Come on, go through this. Oh, this is, we could just close it. It shows you the paper as if you were reading it. So it's the actual paper version of it. It's just scanned and put in. So you're able to scroll through the paper here. You can zoom in. So if you need to zoom in further to see something, because it's, you know, obviously kind of tiny print here, you can zoom in as much as you want. But yes,
Can you also get Blanco news through this?
this particular one is just the Tribune. So the chicagotribune.com and the Chicago Tribune digital edition are strictly just the Tribune. As I was saying earlier with the journal and database index, you're going to find the Tribune in a few different databases that we're going to go through today. Same thing with the Sun-Times. You'll be able to find that in a few different databases. But this one is strictly just the Chicago Tribune. So let me show you what our other options for the Tribune are. We've, again, got the Chicago Tribune digital edition, chicagotribune.com. That's that digital format that you can search. We've also got Chicago Tribune through ProQuest. ProQuest is one of those database companies. They collect the newspaper and then make it searchable for people to look through. And this is the full text of all papers from 1985 to the present. This is not going to have the full color pictures. It is going to give you the text of the article. It's a little easier to search than some of the other databases, but it is going to strictly be the text of the article. Now, the Chicago Tribune Historical gives you access to the Tribune back to 1849. So if you're looking for anything historical that happened within this region, this is going to be the place to go look. It lets you go back and actually see for selected papers what the front page of the paper looked like. So if you wanted to get somebody the cover of the newspaper for the day they were born, you could do that through here. You'd be able to see what was going on, what were the news stories going on. So it's a really neat tool, particularly if you're doing genealogy. You can go through and find out where different buildings were, where different people were. So it's a really nice resource. Now the next one I want to show you, going down our little list here, is going to be Consumer Reports. Now, most of us have heard of Consumer Reports before. They're a wonderful organization that actually does evaluation of products and services. So Consumer Reports will get different utilities and look through them. They'll find different appliances and look through them, and they will evaluate them independently and then give you what their evaluation is. So clicking on Consumer Reports through the library's databases list gets you full access to it. You are able to go in and look for anything you want. You can look for all products A to Z, or you can type in a particular product. Here's their A to Z list. You'd be able to go in and find air conditioners. You'll notice that they have different types of air conditioners listed under that. You'd be able to go in and find air filters, air fryers, air mattresses. Anything that they have done a review on will appear here, including things that were done a while ago. So it's kind of an ongoing index of their publication. You can even go in and find their information on cars. People do a lot of car research using Consumer Reports. You'd be able to go in and see the top 2025 picks, and it's going to allow you to see which cars they recommend and why. So anytime you're looking for a review on a product, come to Consumer Reports, look it up. They're going to let you know why they selected that particular item. I use this all the time. If I'm going to buy something, if I'm buying an air purifier, I'm going to come here to look at it first before I run out and buy one. Alrighty, so the next one we're going to talk about is a little similar, but it's Chicago's Consumer Checkbook. Now this is a brand new one that we have. There are two links here. This is the link to access it in the building. This is the link to access it outside the building. They require two different links because there are two different authentication processes for them to recognize you as being a part of the library. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the link inside the library. Now, Chicago's Consumer Checkbook is very, very similar to Angie's List. Has anybody here ever used Angie's List before? It's kind of a free version of Angie's List, except the library pays for your access to it. So Chicago's Consumer Checkbook covers companies in our area. It's not covering things outside of our area. It's the Chicago metro area. We're able to go in and find articles on saving energy at home. Don't worry about this. They're going to keep trying to solicit that you buy unlimited access. You already have unlimited access through the library. but they, you know, obviously they make money by having people subscribe to it, so they're going to keep advertising that here. Now we can go in and look for a specific topic or business, and it will give you their feedback on it. You can also rate a business. So if you've used a business and you've had a wonderful experience with them, you can come here and give them a positive review. If you've used a business and had a terrible experience with them, you can come here and leave a review. Those are really useful for the next person who comes along and is trying to look for somebody to install a new roof. They'd be able to come in and find people that did that job and did it well or didn't do it well. So let's take a look and look for, go ahead and type roofing. Okay. So you can see that it's listing roofers, different types of roofers. I'm just going to do a general search under roofing. So it gives us service categories, articles. So these are going to be articles that they wrote in general about using roofing companies, what you should look for, what you shouldn't look for, how you maintain your roof. And then it has a list of service providers. So to go into these, let's do H&H Roofing. When you click on it, it's going to tell you the name, where they are located. Then it's going to show you what their rating is. Shows you that one person recommended them, but they recommended them very strongly. So then you can come and see what they were rating them for. You can see related content. So if you wanted to move on and see people that did associated topics for business, you could do that there. You can see which areas that they went through that they were very pleased with. So it's really nice to be able to see it's one rating. You can go with that person's rating, or you can go try to find another one that has more ratings for it. Here's their overview too. So if you wanted to see more about it, what's the planks for this, durable, attractive, it's showing you that this is all of the different roofers in the area. You can also see the ratings. So it's going to show you the top rated ones based on the number of ratings by the distance. You can even do them alphabetically. So if I wanted to see all the ones that have 5+ ratings, so people that have had more than 5 ratings, it's going to show me those companies here. I can even go in and do like if they're recommended by 90% of users. It only gives me 1. So I'd be able to go in and sort this out and see why they're being rated. Like this one has 6 ratings. So this service is really neat because it does give you background information on each company. And again, people can't come in here and sell reviews. On Angie's List, they can. They say that they can't, but they can. If you have a conflict with somebody on Angie's List and they do anything, the company that you have a conflict with, if they do anything to try to mitigate it, even if it's just send you a letter saying sorry, you have to give them a good rating. You have to give them a B or higher rating. So be mindful of that. Companies can do just the bare minimum and then they go back and they're able to get that B rating. Alrighty, so the next one we're going to talk about is going to be, well, we already talked about the Journal and Database Index, but let's just review that one more time. Now that we've looked at a couple of other databases, we'll come down here and our Journal and Database Index is here. So as I said earlier, this Journal and Databases Index lets you look for which publications are where. Now we did talk about the Chicago Tribune and how it's available in several different databases. Go ahead and type that in, Natalie. Perfect. Okay, so we're able to go. Okay, so typing in the Chicago Tribune, we have access to it through a few different places. This is the Chicago Tribune, Daily Press and Tribune. This is the original Tribune in 1847. This is the Chicago Daily Tribune in 1860. So it's giving you different entries for each of those different papers. This is like the modern paper from 1963. If you were looking just for blogs that are included on the Chicago Tribune digital site, you could look here. Here we've got the Chicago Tribune Publishing Company, Chicago Tribune Red Eye Edition. So it's going to let you look for each of those different subtopics, but I'm going to go to this one. We're going to go through the Chicago Tribune here. This is the historical one. We're looking at 1864. And I can look at historical articles from the Chicago Tribune through either our historical newspapers US collection. That's historical papers across the United States. It includes smaller towns, like if you're looking for Topeka, Kansas, you'd be able to search for articles historically through this database. And it goes all the way back to the 1860s for the Chicago Tribune. This is the Chicago Tribune Historical Database. That's a separate database that only covers the Tribune's historical articles. That one's going to go back it actually goes back to 1847. They have it listed here the same as this one, though. So just a refresher that that's how looking through that journal database works. You're able to see where something is included. All right, so let's go down a little further. I want to show you the newspaper archive. Newspaper archive is something new. It's right here. Again, this is one of those that has an inside the library and outside the library link. Now, we only subscribe to Illinois content in this, but it is historical and newspaper information going back through as far as the individual publication allows for each of the different newspapers that are listed. This is where you're going to find Glencoe News going back to the 1920s. We had a microfilm collection of the Glencoe News. It was challenging to use, but recently we sent it out to be digitized, and they digitized all of it and put it in this database. So we're able to click on a region, and we can either type in somebody's name if we're looking for something like an obituary, or we can scroll down, and we can see records by region or by town. So I'm going to take a look at this database, or this database listing here, of all the different areas that I can find a newspaper for. If I keep scrolling down, look what I've got. I've got Glencoe right here. I can now go in and search for a person within Glencoe News. That's why they've got this listed right here. I can do an advanced search to search for other topics. Or if I want to see each of the issues, I can go and look at Glencoe News right here. Now this has a search by date, and it has each paper as it was scanned in here. So if I wanted to see the January 2nd, 1926 paper, I'd click on the cover, and we have 18 pages of material to look at here. It's the entire paper from January 2nd, 1926. It's going to include pictures. I think it's further down if I scroll. No, we're still waiting for it. It's got pictures, it's got articles. Let's see if it'll let us move forward. I think it's still processing here. Oh, it's not. Here, I'm going to go back for 1 second. I'm going to try this again. Maybe we'll try January 16th and see if that loads faster. Now, it is a high density image, so sometimes it can take a little bit of time to come through here. You can see at the very bottom, while we're waiting for our image here, that you can go in and you can find the next date or the previous date. So if you're leafing through the paper and you're looking for something specific, you'd be able to do that. Well, I apologize. I'm not sure why this isn't loading. We were able to look at it earlier today. But if we wanted to look for an exact match, like let's say we wanted to see if there's anything about the library, you want to type library in there and we'll see if it convinces it to start looking. Well, it doesn't look like it's going to cooperate with us today. Oh, there it goes. Okay, cool. So now we're looking at the page and it's letting us search through. And you can see this is the entire front page of the paper. You can zoom in and zoom out. You can clip specific sections of the paper. So if I were to click here, it's going to allow me to say I only want like this article here. I can draw a line around it, and then I'm able to save that and save it in a clipping file, and I can print them all out when I'm done searching. You're also able to page through it, so if you want to see the second page. At one point, I had to search through this for something, and you find all of the school stuff, like about on page 5, and then things like the town meeting minutes are usually on like page 8 or 9. So you can look through here. It even includes ads, which I find really, really funny because some of them are things that you would not expect that you are going to see. Oh, no, I want to go the other way. you can go back and see just how much a car cost at that time. So you can see that there's like a coupe that's not very expensive here. The advertisements for things that they're selling, things like different medical products and things. It's kind of a cool source if you have like a student that's trying to do a paper and they want to do a paper on local history, or they want to do a paper on like the history of different products. This is a place to come look for it. It's also going to show you things like what local stores are. Lots of local advertisements in here. So it's a really great source. I apologize that it's being slow. There we go. Let's go out a tiny bit here more. There we are. So we can see that there's a touring car for $845. A roadster is $890. Wouldn't it be great if this was all of the prices that we had today? But you can even buy a sedan for $995. It does say it's all subject to federal excise tax. So everybody was paying taxes even back then. So this is how Access World News works. You can search for other papers in here too. It includes all of the Glencoe News. We know that that's kind of a local interest point. So we wanted to make sure that you saw that. But if we go back to our list here, we can find papers for just about anywhere. If we were looking for papers from Oak Park, it's going to show us all of the different papers that have covered that area. So you'd be able to go in and see things like the Oak Park Argus. Looks like they had 520 pages of data in here. You can go in and see all of the articles from each of those. There it goes. So same thing, just like the Glencoe News, you can go in and you can search for a person, you can search by date, or you can actually browse the papers here. I find this is fun. I was a history major in college, so I love to go back and look at the old newspapers, but it is very, very handy for genealogy projects as well. You're able to go back and actually get the clipping from the paper.
But if the teacher wanted to check and see if the student was plagiarizing, he would have to go through all of this, find the right things.
Not necessarily. You could come to there's different software out there that you can purchase that a lot of schools have purchased that let you go through and see if they're locating things like that. And it can search certain databases if the school subscribes to them. But it can also include information from papers that you don't necessarily have the access to, but it can tell you if it finds it somewhere. So even though you might not be able to read the whole article that the kid is claiming that they did a quote from, you'd be able to see that segment and it will tell you whether or not it's been there. The way that those plagiarism databases work is it's kind of an artificial intelligence that they're using to search for that. It's searching for those words next to each other or within a specific proximity. So kind of like how most databases work, actually. If I type in a search here, it's looking for the words I type in where they occur closest to each other. So yes, you would probably be able to sneak in something like that. You don't necessarily have to go through every single paper if you have access to a plagiarism tool. But if you don't, you would have to go back and look through their list of sources and check and see if they were using the exact text from there.
Very time consuming.
Oh yes, it's very time consuming. This is something that we see less of it, I would say, in like younger kids, but it's in college. A lot of those professors are using those AI-powered plagiarism tools to see, because sometimes people are not even necessarily plagiarizing a newspaper or a book, they're plagiarizing each other. Somebody's old paper, they're using it. That was something, I hear about different students doing that were siblings. Well, I just turned in my brother's paper because he already wrote it, so I didn't have to do it. So, and if the person that's teaching the class is a different teacher or doesn't realize that's what happened, that happens too. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and close out of here. But definitely check out Newspaper Archive. I love just kind of going through there to see what's available from each town and area. We're going to take a look now at the New York Times. The New York Times is super popular. Everybody wants to read it. It's one of our most popular newspapers here at the library. We have several different ways that you can access it. You can access the New York Times Historical. This is going to be the paper back to 1851, and it will show you all full text articles back through that time period. We can also look at the New York Times Online. This is going to give you 24-hour access to the paper. I'll be honest, it's a little cumbersome to look at it through this link. You have to create an account and sign in, and there are several pages that you have to click to get to it. But we also have access to the New York Times Online through Press Reader. And I'm going to show you how that works in just a minute. Press Reader is much, much easier to use. It's much easier to read. And it gives you the full entire paper as well. We also have the New York Times as just a regular full text database. This is this one right here. It's the full text of the paper from 1980 to the present. It includes book review and the magazine from 1997 to now. So if you are looking for a specific article from the New York Times, and it is from 1980 forward, this is going to be the database you'll want to use. If you're looking for something that is historical, you would use this one. If you wanted to view the actual newspaper as it was printed today, it would actually be the New York Times Online right here. But again, I'm going to show you another way to get to this. We had to subscribe to the New York Times Online and Press Reader to get the New York Times in Press Reader, so that's why we have a link to both. All right, now we tried this one earlier while we were practicing, so I'm hoping it's working, but I want to tell you a little bit about Novelist. Novelist is a great database. It lets you go in and see reviews of authors, reviews of titles. It also lets you see books that are similar to your favorite authors. I love this because if I read an author that I really adore and I want to find somebody who writes similarly, going into Novelist can help me find that. So if I go to Novelist and just type Jane, let's do Jane Austen. All right, so Jane Austen's right here. We're going to go in and search for Jane Austen. And what we get is, so it's showing us books that include her name, books that are about her. We can also go in and we can look through the different source types. We can apply, like if we're only looking for books. Actually, I'm going to get rid of and book because I just want Jane Austen. You can see that there's a search up here. We just backspace there. Because I want to find the author. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Perfect. And there she is right here. So we just want... Oh, thank you. I'm looking at the top there. Okay, so now we're looking at the author, Jane Austen. Now, from here, we can go in and we can see things that she's written. We can go through and get kind of reviews of what she's written, but we can also go in and find author read-alikes. This is going to be authors that write similar topics, that have similar writing styles, so you can find another author that's similar to who you really enjoy. So there's like Sinclair Lewis, Barbara Pym. Some of these are going to be people you've never heard of before. Some of them will be very, very popular authors. I'm going to choose Sinclair Lewis for just a second. Now, Sinclair Lewis was an American writer. He grew up in Minnesota, and he was a writer that wrote a lot about the town that he lived in. I know this because my mother grew up in the town that he lived in, and there's Sinclair Lewis stuff all over the place. But he has a particular writing style that I would say is very, very similar to Jane Austen. He's observing what's going on in the community around him. He's writing about people in the community around him, and he really has a sharp mind to describe and see what he's looking at. So it's telling you he writes fiction. His topics are generally adult topics, so they're not going to be like kid stories. He's writing themes that are for adults. Gives you a description of him and what he actually wrote, and it has a suggestion at the bottom here that you should start with Main Street. Main Street is his most popular book, so that's what they're recommending you start with if you want to read something by this author. Alrighty. We also have the option here to create an alert. That would tell you anytime this author comes out with something new. Now, obviously, Jane Austen's not writing anything new, but that would include an alert for anything that included an adaptation of her writing, anything that included a topic where she's included in it, where it's a book about her. So you could set an alert and it's going to let you know anytime there's something new that's coming out that deals with this particular author.
Now we're logging in through the library.
Mm-hmm.
The alert is going to go.
Yes. Yes, because you can create, with all of these databases, there's a free independent account option. So we're looking at an EBSCO database right now. We actually have quite a few EBSCO databases that we subscribe to. If you create an EBSCO account and you use different EBSCO databases that the library subscribes to, it's going to notify you from all of those databases whenever there's something new that you want to know about. So for Novelist, you would create an EBSCO account. This is free. You would just create it with your own email and whatever password you want to use. This account, though, is going to allow you to actually be able to store articles. You'll be able to save things to come back to later, so you don't have to email everything to yourself or you don't have to print everything out. You can tag things and have them saved for later, which is great, particularly when we're talking about articles and things for any research that you might be working on. You can save them in your account instead of constantly having to go back in and print things or email them to yourself. So this is just one of the products in EBSCO. I can show you another one in just a minute. But this is Novelist, and again, this one is geared specifically toward adult use. It's going to have adult titles in it. We also have Novelist K through 8. That is specifically geared toward children. So if you're trying to help a child find a new book, it's very similar to this. You can type in a topic or an author that they enjoy. You would be able to find similar read-alikes and similar authors. All right. So now we're going to take a look at PressReader. Now, I just told you earlier, PressReader has a much easier way to view the New York Times. It also has other periodicals in there too. And this is a really, really easy to read, easy to use database. If we access it from here, you can also access it from pressreader.com if you create an account through the library with them. You can get on any computer that you can use a browser on. I do recommend going through the library though, because it's going to give you the easiest access to it. When you sign in, you get this notification. And up here it says PressReader hotspot. Most of the time when we think of a hotspot, we're thinking of an internet hotspot where it's giving you internet access. That's not what they mean here. I really wish they had named it something else. But when they say hotspot, it means if you come into the building and you access PressReader on your cell phone from our Wi-Fi here in the building, when you leave for 30 days, whether you have a Glencoe library card or not, you will continue to be able to access PressReader. So if somebody comes in, they don't have a card with us here, but they access PressReader while they're here for 30 days, they'll get access to it. If they want access again after 30 days, they just have to visit us again. So that's what they mean by hotspot. They're not granting you access to the internet, but they're granting you access to this database. So let's go in and see what they have to offer. When we go into PressReader, this is available as an app, by the way, as well. So you can install this on your device. When you go in, you can see, here's the New York Times. There's also papers from around the world. So you can see things like the South China Morning Post. Here's The Economist, the Spokesman Review. You can go in and find individual articles that are about the top stories in our area. You can even go through and see all countries and regions or languages that magazines are available in. If, let's say, you had somebody that needed to find newspapers in a different language, this is a great place to do that. So if you know somebody that their native language is different than English, they can come here and find newspapers about their home country, their home area, in their own language. So let's go ahead and go into the New York Times. Now you can see this is way easier to get to the New York Times than having to create an account and click on multiple links. To go here, you could go in and just click the cover and you'd be able to start reading it now. You can also click on the date and you can go back 3 months through the newspaper and see the whole thing. If I wanted to go back and see the January 1st New York Times, there it is. So you can easily go back and look for older papers. I can also search within the paper. There's a little magnifying glass here that will let me search for topics within each paper. Now I can do something here where it says add to my publications. If I create a free account with them through the library, I will have delivered to my app every day the New York Times. So I don't even have to go to the New York Times. I would just open up the PressReader app. I've already signed into it and it's going to have my New York Times for that day. So if we wanted to go through and actually search this paper, we can click on the cover. This is kind of our table of contents. It's going to let us change how we're viewing the paper here. We can see just the text view. Right now we're looking at the page view. We can pick different dates. Down here at the bottom, it gives us the option to print what we're looking at. We can also just see the text, or it'll read it to us. Now, it's going to be a kind of a robotic voice, but it will read it to you. So if you wanted to hear an article while you're in the car and you don't want to, it's not safe to read the newspaper while you're driving your car, you'd be able to click here and it will read it to you. You can also go in and you can save it to your own newspaper collection. That means if you want to save a particular article or a particular cover, you can do that. And again, you can also switch it to that text view. Now, up here at the top, anytime you have these little 3 dots on pretty much anything on the internet, it usually means there's a menu there. If we click there, this is where we can translate the paper. So if we wanted to go back and translate it into a different language, we can choose any of the languages listed there. We can also change it to be able to listen to it. We can download it to our device. So let's say you're going to be taking a flight somewhere and you want to be able to read this on your flight. You could go back and download several issues of the New York Times or any of the other papers on here, and you would be able to read it offline. We also have the option to change the font. So if you find this particular font hard to read, you can go in and choose any of the other fonts, or you can make them bigger or smaller. So this is very adaptable. It really does let you go in and read the paper the way you want to read it. If we click on any of the articles here, you'll see that they turn green. That means we can click and it's going to pull up just that article, so it's easier to read. It would also be easier to print it this way, but it's going to include anything like graphs and stuff that were included in the original article. Anytime you're ready to go back, you can go back and go to their catalog, and that's going to show you all of the different publications that you have available to you. So I really love PressReader. I find that there's a lot to use with this. I love the fact that it lets you save things to read offline. It's a really useful product, and it's super, super easy to use. It's very intuitive. All right, next we're going to take a look at one of the products that I think is one of the coolest things we subscribe to. Let's get out of here. Bye, PressReader. There it is. Okay. The one I'm going to show you now is called the Weiss Ratings Medigap Report. Now, we subscribe to Weiss Ratings. We get the Weiss Financial Ratings series, which rates different companies, different investment firms. It gives you a lot of data, but the one that I love the most here is going to be the Weiss Ratings Medigap Report. This lets you go in, add your own information to it, and it's going to tell you which Medicare supplement plan is going to be best for you. For your area, for where you live, it's going to tell you, well, you have these options. These are the plans that will save you the most money, or that will give you the most access to whatever kind of Medicare supplementary plan you're looking for. So you would come in and you would type your name. You're going to provide your email to get your report. You would say your age. You're going to say your gender and your zip code. And it's going to tailor it specifically to people in whatever area you're searching for. And it's going to tell you what are the best products for you. So it's going to tell you what it covers. It's also going to let you see what it doesn't cover. There's also different publications listed in here where you can go through and read about why they cover certain areas and why they don't. But this can save you a significant amount of time, especially if you're preparing to retire or if you've recently retired and you want to make sure that you're getting the best policy for yourself. This is a really great way to do that. Up here at the top, you can see it also gets us into all the other Weiss ratings tools that we can use. But this, I think, is probably the most valuable thing that we have in this database. All right, so we've gone over quite a few different databases here. I want to point out just a couple of other ones that we might have not seen, but you might be interested in. We have Wall Street Journal Online. So if you want to read the Wall Street Journal, just like the Tribune and New York Times, you are able to read Wall Street Journal online, full text from the library. We have Value Line. If you are somebody that does your own investing or you just like tracking the stock market and different investments, Value Line is a really, really in-depth, great tool for doing that. It lets you track specific stocks. We have the U.S. Major Dailies Historical Collection. Now, as I said before, some of these products are going to overlap each other. This is one of those, but this is one that pulls them all together in one spot. The U.S. Major Dailies Historical Collection searches the Tribune, Los Angeles Times, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post, all of those historical databases from 1849 to 2021. So you can go back and search any of those or all of them together to get differing viewpoints on something that was happening at the same time. It's great that it's in one spot. You don't have to go to the Tribune and then to the Times and then to the Wall Street Journal. You can do it all from this one database. We've also got access to something called Udemy. Now, I think this is a super valuable resource. What Udemy does is you can take online courses for free through this. There are topics here that go over anything from accounting to photography. You can take test prep classes for things like if you have teenagers in your house for things like the ACT or SAT. You can take general skills classes like different crafts. You can learn how to knit. There's a ton of different classes in here. There's over 10,000 different classes that you can take through Udemy. All of them are free. You can take as many of them as you want. All you're going to do is sign in with your library account. And once you do, you're going to be able to look through all of those different classes. So I'm just going to show you, well, let's see how my information's used. I think we have an account through our Google account. Let me try. There we go. So once we go into Udemy, this is going to search for everything we can access. And we're at Glencoe. So it gives us all these different topics that we can search for. If you wanted to learn more about generative AI, artificial intelligence, clicking there is going to show you all of the different courses that cover this topic. It's even going to have articles and things that deal with that trend, and it'll show you the classes that are going to have that trend covered in depth. Let's say you were looking for something a little different. If you're looking for something like project management, you could go into their product and project management courses. It shows you that all of these have different course requirements and they have different lengths of time, but you can take as many of them as you want. This one in particular, let's go back, is 2.5 total hours. It tells you there's 33 separate lectures. It's good for all levels, and it was just updated last month. If you wanted to see another class, this one is that 15 or 1.5? Okay, so 1.5 hours, 27 different lectures. Some of these, though, are going to be much, much longer. They're going to go much more in depth. I helped somebody look for an accounting class in here a couple of weeks ago, and we found one that was 21 hours long. Now, that doesn't mean you sit in front of the computer for 21 hours straight taking this class. These are all on demand. You can take them whenever you want. When you have time, you sit down and you turn on the lecture, and then it's going to have the notes for you and anything else that you need to be able to complete the assignment. Once in a while, it might require that you purchase specific software to be able to complete the assignments. So that's always something to look at before you start a class. But for the most part, they have all of the notes that you need, they have all of the assignments that you need, and you're able to take the class. When you're done, you get a certificate that says you took the class. So if you're trying to do something like, continuing education, doing this really helps out with that. You can submit it to your employer or your school and say, see, I took this class. This is how long it was. This is what I learned. So I really love Udemy specifically for any kind of topic that you're looking for. It doesn't have to be business topics. Go ahead and type in photography. It's going to give you tons and tons and tons of information on different skills like photography. There's even iPhone photography on there if you want to learn how to take better pictures with your phone. But it's going to have things like the fundamentals of photography, how you take better pictures with your iPhone. Hovering over each one tells you what you're going to learn in that class, so you can get a good idea of what they're going to cover. It also is going to tell you right at the bottom how long it is. And if you want to see other people's ratings for the class, you can click here. It's going to let you see what other people thought of this class when they took it. All right, I know we just covered a lot of material. There's a lot of things that we didn't go over on your handout. That's why I wanted to make sure you have a detailed explanation of each of them. Do any of you have any questions? Well, and I will tell you that most databases have their own quirks to them. They will have like things that for whatever reason, it's very clunky with finding. Like in this example, you would think if it's a cartoon that has text in it, that they would include the text of the cartoon. But like you said, it's probably an image file and they're not treating it that way. A lot of databases are going back and trying to make their materials more accessible so that it's looking for things that are similar phrasing. So if you find something and it's not to the exact quote, it's still going to try to find something close to it. But personally, I find like we're in an EBSCO database right now. EBSCO works okay, but it has its flaws. Sometimes their natural text search can be not the greatest. We have other databases from companies like ProQuest or Newsbank. Newsbank can be a little clunky sometimes if you put quotes around things. It doesn't always, like that very much, because if you take the quotes away and type them in next to each other, it will still find it. So you're going to find little quirks in each of these, particularly because a lot of them are by different companies. So using one database isn't going to make you feel comfortable with every database. They're all going to be a little bit different. I will tell you though, come on into the library and we will be happy to sit down with you and work through a research project that you're working on or working through any of these specific databases, walking you through it, helping you get more comfortable with it. Any of us at the reference desk are happy to do that for you. So come on in, we'll be happy to walk you through it. We'll be happy to locate whatever we can for you. And like I said, if you're at home and you want something from JSTOR or you want something from Ancestry.com, even though you don't have at-home access to that, you can call us at the reference desk and we'll send it to you.